Have you ever felt like you're on the outside looking in? Like you've made so many mistakes that you're just too far gone for a second chance? If so, I want to tell you about a man who probably felt the exact same way. His name was Zacchaeus, and his story is one of the most powerful examples of transformation you'll ever hear. Let's set the scene. We're in Jericho, a bustling, prosperous city, and in this city lives a man named Zacchaeus. Now, Zacchaeus wasn't just any man. He was the chief tax collector. In those days, it was like being public enemy number one. Tax collectors worked for the Roman Empire, the occupying force, and they were notorious for being corrupt. They would often demand more money than was actually owed and pocket the difference. So, you can imagine, Zacchaeus was not a popular guy. He was rich, yes, but he was also despised, seen as a traitor and a sinner by his own people. The Bible even describes him as a wee little man, short in stature. So, he was physically small and socially an outcast, a odd wealth, but he was likely very lonely and isolated. One day, news ripples through Jericho that Jesus is passing through town. This wasn't just some local celebrity. This was the man people were saying could heal the sick, cast out demons, and speak with divine authority. A massive crowd gathers, everyone jostling for a position, hoping to get even a glimpse of this remarkable teacher. Zacchaeus wants to see Jesus too. But he has a problem. Remember, he's short. He can't see over the heads of the crowd. He's pushed to the fringes, unable to get close. Can you imagine his frustration? His desire to see Jesus is so strong that he does something completely undignified. For a wealthy, important man, he sees a sycamore fig tree up ahead along the road Jesus is walking. He hitches up his expensive robes, runs ahead of the entire crowd, and climbs that tree. Picture it, this rich, chief tax collector, scrambling up a tree like a little boy, just for a chance to see Jesus. It was a humble, almost foolish act. The crowd is pressing in on him from all sides, all vying for his attention. But Jesus stops. He looks up, directly into the branches of the sycamore tree, and he sees Zacchaeus. And then, he does something that shocks everyone. He calls him by name. Zacchaeus, he says. How did Jesus know his name? Zacchaeus must have been stunned. This famous teacher, surrounded by hundreds of people, singles him out. But Jesus doesn't stop there. He says, "Come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." The crowd is in disbelief. They start murmuring and complaining amongst themselves. "He is gone to be the guest of a sinner," they grumble. Of all the people in Jericho, the respected leaders, the righteous Pharisees, Jesus chooses to go to the house of the corrupt tax collector, the man everyone hated. Zacchaeus scrambles down from the tree, his heart filled with a joy he probably hadn't felt in years. He eagerly welcomes Jesus into his home. We don't know the exact words they exchanged inside that house. The Bible doesn't record their conversation, but we know it must have been life-altering. In the presence of pure, unconditional love, Zacchaeus' heart was completely changed. The encounter with Jesus broke through all the walls of greed, guilt, and shame that Zacchaeus had built around himself. He saw himself for who he was. But more importantly, he saw who he could be through the grace he was being shown. Suddenly, Zacchaeus stands up and makes a public declaration. This isn't a quiet, private promise. He says it for all to hear. "Look, Lord! Here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor." This is a radical step. He's not just giving a small donation, he's giving away half of his entire fortune. But he doesn't stop there. He continues, "And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." This was incredible. Under Jewish law, if you cheated someone, you were required to pay them back what you took, plus 20%. But Zacchaeus promises to pay back 400%. This wasn't just about following the law. This was about true repentance. It was a heartfelt desire to make things right, to restore what he had broken, no matter the cost. His encounter with Jesus didn't just make him feel guilty. It made him want to become a new man. And what is Jesus' response to this? He doesn't say, "It's about time." He doesn't say, "Good. You should feel bad for what you did." Instead, he declares, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man, too, is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." Jesus saw past the label of sinner and saw a son of Abraham, a beloved child of God who had lost his way. Jesus didn't come for the people who thought they had it all together. He came for the lost. He came for the Zacchaeus of the world. This story is so much more than just a historical account. It's a mirror for our own lives. How many of us feel too short to see Jesus? Maybe not physically short, but short on hope, short on faith, short on self. We feel like the crowds of life, our past mistakes, our insecurities, the opinions of others are blocking our view of God. Like Zacchaeus, we have a choice. We can stay on the sidelines, convinced we're not worthy, or we can do whatever it takes to get a better view. We can climb our own sycamore tree. That tree might be opening a Bible for the first time in years. It might be finding a church community. It might be simply crying out to God in prayer from a place of desperation, saying, "Jesus, I need to see you." And the most beautiful part of this story is that when you seek Jesus, he is already seeking you. He sees you when you feel invisible. He knows your name, even when you feel like just another face in the crowd. And he doesn't just want to see you from a distance. He wants to come into your house, into the messy, private parts of your life, and bring his grace and healing. Zacchaeus' story proves that no one is beyond redemption. It doesn't matter what you've done or who you've been. An encounter with Jesus changes everything. It doesn't just forgive the past. It creates a brand new future. Repentance isn't just about saying sorry. It's about a complete change of heart that leads to a changed life, a life of restoration and generosity. So if you're feeling lost today, if you feel like you're stuck up a tree watching life pass you by, remember Jesus is passing by right now.